Hi, I am Blaze from SynthMorph. In this quick video, I will show you quickly all, and I really mean all the new features of the 9.5 update of standard Cubase. It's worth spending your time to watch it fully and you will exactly know what are the new things and where to find them. Okay, let's start. The first one, and I think one of the most important and most requested feature, is that they finally improved automation with Bezier curve. So you shape the transition between any 2 points freely. You can make them edgy or smooth, depending on where you move this control point. What's more, now you can raise or lower the overall scaling between any 2 points without selecting them. Just drag this diamond shape on the top and move up down. Also, it perfectly works with any selection range. I'm holding here the Ctrl and Shift while drawing a range freely, you see? So you don't need those clumsy tricks anymore to make trim-like automations. And the new system also works with VCF faders. I think with these major changes in the automation system of Cubase, it became quite feature complete and easy to use. But unfortunately, it doesn't relate to MIDI automations inside the editors. So this is strictly for the main project window. So hopefully MIDI automations will get a major overhaul later. Okay, next thing, the number of insert effects slot has been doubled from 8 to 16. Compared to the previous version where the pre and post fader insert slot configuration was totally fixed. You remember the first 6 was always pre and the last 2 was always post fader. Now it is flexible. Just move this green line and now everything above the line is pre-fader. Below the line is post-fader. And you can see the difference clearly because now they are colored differently. Okay, they also made the visuals of the plugin states clearer. If the plugin is active and working, it's blue. If you bypass it by clicking here, it's grayed out. And finally, if you alt-click on this left side icon, you can toggle the plugin on or off, so the different states are now clearly visible. The metronome system has completely reworked and improved. You can open the metronome settings in the transport metronome setup, but I prefer to open it from this lower transport bar. So first I click the click patterns. So you see this song has a 4x4 signature, but what if the feel of the song changes in the chorus to triplet, or maybe there is even a signature change like from 4x4 to 3x4? It requires different metronome rhythms, so you can set them differently for each different song sections, and this is the beauty of the new metronome. The next great thing is that you can try different click sound presets, as standard provided them as presets. But you can also load your own metronome sounds as audio files or just assign it to a drum module or something. And the last thing is, at the project signature track you can render the metronome sound as a MIDI file or an audio file. This is very handy to pass a final metronome track in live recording situation for other players or singers. Okay, the next thing is, here is a great new feature. Just drag a MIDI part from an instrument track or from a rack instrument MIDI track onto a sampler track. And Cubase will render the audio file for instant playback. So, here is a SynthMorph sequence from my Ziblet Mars sound set. It just repeats the same C2 note, but quite complex modulations occur in the background. Now I drop it to the sampler and it actually renders the whole sequence, and I can instantly play on it polyphonically. This also is an unlimited source of inspiration in creating new sounds quickly. Also, now you can drop any audio from MediaBay or Windows Explorer or Finder onto the track or onto the sampler itself, and the sounds are instantly usable. You can compare the different states with the new A/B switch, and as you see, it relates not just to the parameter sets but to the samples too. Finally, a very important but under the hood change: whenever you drop an audio file to the sampler from any source, it will fully copy it to the project audio folder, so you don't have to worry about missing samples anymore. Okay, the next one is the direct offline processing, which should be a game changer, but unfortunately it's still not there, and I will tell you shortly why. If you are a Cubase user, you probably remember the old way: offline process history, to process audio files with plugins and so-called processes. In the old way, you added a plugin to the audio file, you could preview, then render. You add another one, again, render, then I apply reverse. This whole thing was painfully slow to use. However, it was often necessary to save CPU power this way. It was far from a creative workflow. So in Cubase 9.5 they introduced the direct offline processing, which is a modern implementation of this same idea. You can add plugins and processes in the same window. Okay, so I add a compressor, then a Roomworks reverb, then primal tap delay. You can work quickly, semi-real time, and it always works on copy of the original audio file, so you can always revert to the original audio. You cannot just hear the resulting audio, but also see all changes on the waveforms, as it applies effects in semi-real time in the background. Whichever parameter you change, it instantly recalculates and applies it to the wave file. And the big thing is, once calculated, it doesn't consume CPU anymore, so it's very fast and useful for the widest creative experimentation without any limits. Just select one or more audio events or just a range, then press F7. This is the default key command for direct offline processing. And start tweaking until you hear what you want. You can leave this window open, make part of a workspace, change audio events, it will always update its view. I can preview with this audition button, change FX order or bypass certain plugins, and you see all changes are calculating very fast, nearly real time, and of course all settings are saved with the project. Well, what's the problem then? Unfortunately, there are two major issues with this originally excellent idea. First, it's currently very buggy, so you will experience strange things like you add a plugin and it doesn't appear or just disappear, settings are not doing what they should, time-based effect tails calculate incorrectly, so hopefully this one will be treated very soon in the coming maintenance updates. Another issue is, well, this direct offline processing is originally a new Endo feature and you can save complete preset chains there. So you don't have to add plugins and processes every time manually. Well, unfortunately this is not the case with Cubase, as you cannot save preset chains here, which is a shame and a real workflow killer. Hopefully this will not stay like this, at least you guys should all poke Steinberg about this. Okay, next thing. Cubase has now a double precision 64-bit processing engine. But by default, it still uses the current 32-bit precision. It means that all channels can be processed at 64-bit resolution, so it does a slightly more precise roundings at the sonic computations. I think you shouldn't be too excited yet. because it works only with VST-free plugins, so no chance for VST2. And these VST-free plugins should specifically support this 64-bit processing. In the VST plugin manager, you can display only the 64-bit capable plugins, so you can check which works. If you enable the 64-bit mode, nearly all the stock plugins and channel strip effects are prepared and 64-bit compatible right now. But any other plugins will still be processed with 32-bit precision as before. So going to 64-bit mixing may sound a big change, but you know, actually you won't hear any difference at all. It's more like a step forward toward the future audio application standards or something. Next thing is the write zone improvements. So in the earlier version, in Cubase 9, this write zone had a very basic, I would say unfinished media bay. But by now Steinberg completed it. Now they call it the media rack, which essentially is a condensed form of the big media bay. There are many small new features here. I will just show you one, the file browser, where you can finally add nearly all kind of related media from your computer. Drag and drop new instruments from this location became possible, and this green line shows the exact position where you add your new instrument track. Currently you will find here only Steinberg instruments, but maybe later you can load third-party stuff as well. And finally now you will find here in the right zone the control room with the integrated master and loudness meters. Okay, next thing, plugins. Let's see what's new here. We have a new wavetable instrument called Flux. It works within the stock Halion Sonic SE3. This is based on Halion's 6 new wavetable engine. Of course, with much less control, but it's perfectly enough for most situations. It comes with 124 presets, and you should definitely check them out, as the Halion technology is amazing, and most of these presets are quite impressive. Okay, still plugins. All the Cubase compressors, the Cube compressor, the Vintage compressor and the stock compressor got a major facelift. Now they look way cooler than before. It doesn't stop here, the added functionality is also very helpful. All three have a mix parameter, so now you can achieve parallel compression with just a single parameter without any additional and complicated routings. And finally the tape simulator Magneto got a new graphics layout, and it is now called MK3. So new content. Cubase 9.5 comes with 130 FX chain presets for all kinds of instruments groups like bass, drum, guitar, synths, vocals and more. Moreover, there are new mastering track presets, 25 for Cubase artists and Elements users, and an additional 50 preset for Cubase Pro musicians in all these genres like 70s, 80s, classical, country, EDM, hip-hop, indie pop and so on. Next one is not entirely new. It's a content update of the original Alan Morgan signature drum pack. You can find it here in the VST sound container. This instrument set Alan Morgan signature drums. This is completely reworked. The drum sounds are available as one-shot samples. Then the loops are available as instantly usable and editable MIDI loops for the included Groove Agent SE4 drum plugin. Each kit has 5 pattern variations. Of course, you can make your own variations. And finally, here are the Groove Agent presets without the MIDI files in this VST free preset folder, so the same content can be used in different ways. Okay, now let's see some changes in the user interface of Cubase 9.5. The first one is a very handy feature called Adapt to Zoom, and you have to activate this feature in the grid type menu. The main point is, when Adapt to Zoom is active, the grid and snap settings are scaled according to the horizontal zoom level. To put it simply, the more you zoom in, the finer the grid will become. You see? This is why it is adaptive. Adaptive zooming is independent from the quantize settings, and it works only when you are in bars and beats mode on the timeline. Fortunately, it works in all the media editors, the key, drum or list editor, and you have to activate adaptive zoom separately here inside the editor at the grid type dropdown. It's a great idea to assign it to a key command, so you can quickly change between the quantized grid and the adaptive grid. The next feature is a very simple thing, but probably the most important for me, and I'm not kidding. If you are an all-time Cubase user, you certainly know that you could not set the Playbar, this one, to any position by just clicking on the background. You had to click up here in the ruler area. Then later they introduced a preferences option called locate when clicked in empty space. It was somehow better, but you couldn't set the playbar to exact start of a beat or bar, so to any exact position. Now with Cubase 9.5 you can hold the modifier key and click in the background, and according to the grid type you can position this playbar to exact locations. If I set to beat, it always snaps to beats. When set to bar, it always snaps to the nearest bar. You can customize its modifier key here in the preferences to modifier select to set position. I set mine to shift because that's the biggest key on my keyboard and I use this feature a lot. Oh, just keep it up, not much left. Next one is an interesting one, but it seems rather useless for me. But as this upgrade solves lots of user requests, it must have been a priority. To make it short, in the middle section of the preferences you can set here a range in ticks between 0 and 240 ticks. Okay, what is tick? Tick is a technical term to express the MIDI resolution, and it means 1/16 is 120 ticks, so actually one beat is 480 ticks. So you don't really have to change it. So when playing a part like this, here is the exact part start, but as you see, these notes starts outside of this MIDI part because of the recording, but with the range set you can even play these early notes starting outside. So it still plays here. Yeah, that's it. Another user interface tweak is restructuring the long device menu of the earlier Cubase versions. Now it is called Studio, so everything is arranged, renamed and grouped in a much more logical way. If you're a long-time Cubase user, first it is a bit confusing to find what you need, but then you will love it. Okay, just a few left, let's finish quickly. In the Studio, more options, time display, you can configure it to show you the show beat count only. So this is like a visual metronome, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. If you double click, it sets the optimal size. The one before the last, this is a small helper. In the input-output channel folder, you will always find the stereo out of the mix. So you can directly add insert effects like a glitch plugin. You can automate any parameters affecting the whole mix without any clumsy automation tricks now. I inserted Loop Mesh FX here and can play real time on the whole mix. And the last feature, now you can easily recolor Cubase. Open Preferences, User Interface. You can select predefined color schemes, or if you want something really special, select a single color and all items of the program will automatically adapt to provide you a consistent look. Well, obviously this is not one. Yeah, and this is not either. Okay, well, let's change back to a preset. You can still modify here a few elements a bit, but the lack of too many settings will give you a more balanced visual feel. Okay, this was the last one, so to sum it up. After so many years, Steinberg finally listened to its customer base, and user feature requests are handled with priority. It's very likely that you will run into some kind of bugs here and there. Okay, I have to admit it happens to nearly every or first version DAWs these days. But remember, all these applications are incredibly complex. They have to work real time, everything always in sync, following operating system changes. When I used to jump on the Cubase line at Cubase 4, man, that was terrible at the time, until like Cubase 7 or so. And I think things got much smoother around Cubase 8. In each new version, Steinberg makes significant efforts to rewrite and simplify parts of Cubase. Like now we can call the automation part really finished and awesome. So Cubase is basically a quite stable and usable for serious work, even if new features like now the direct offline processing should be seriously fixed. Okay, so overall I think it is a very solid update with useful features, with things that can really improve your personal workflow, so it's absolutely worth the lower than usual update price. Okay, I want to congratulate you for being so persistent watching this video fully. If you like it and have any question, please comment, like or share it, or just subscribe to my YouTube channel for more synth-related stuff in the future. You may also visit my website at synthmorph.com for getting great synth products I'm proud of. Thank you if you support it by purchasing one, or just reading interesting articles. Okay guys, thank you, have a great day.